It's Margarita Skype, and in today's video, I want to talk about cluster rings. I know that there are not too many videos out there for cluster rings, and I know some people have asked me, what is this cluster ring? Like, is that a cocktail ring? Is that an engagement ring? Cluster rings have been in for about 3 years now, but we've kind of elevated from making them really different. So I want to show you 3 styles of cluster rings that are super popular, and maybe one of these styles will be for you and you'd like it. We've got this cluster ring right here. It's a cluster ring, but if you look at it closely, it's a heart cluster ring. It's made in the shape of a heart, and a heart is sideways. What I call this is like the classical cluster ring because it's all together, it's united, it's beautiful cluster, it's not out of shape. We've got the second ring, which is like the crazy cluster ring. And when I say crazy, it means the stones are completely out of whack. They're just everywhere. But they somehow make this beautiful array of sparkle together. And so I call this the crazy cluster ring. And then there's the space cluster ring. And the space cluster rings are super popular. And the reason they are space is because you can see that it's spaced. You can see that the clusters are kind of spaced as opposed to being too tight together. These are kind of the 3 ways of cluster ring that we make. And if you wanted a cluster ring, you'd come to my appointment. These are kind of the 3 ways that I would be showing you. I find each one is unique. Cluster rings are used a lot as a family ring. So we get a lot of clients who say, okay, I want to make a ring with each one of our family stones. So let's say husband was born in, May, so he's an emerald stone. Let's say a wife was born in August, so she's a peridot stone. And then the kids are in different other months. So they would put the stones all together for every month and make a cluster ring, whether it's space cluster ring, crazy cluster ring, or the classical cluster ring, it's up to them. But a lot of these cluster rings are family rings. So to remind you of your family, it can just be husband and you. It can just be husband, you, mom and dad. We've done that too, especially if your mom and dad are no longer here, they're in the other world, then it's kind of a memory to them too. So cluster rings have been known for kind of family rings at the same time. And then others just love the idea of these rings being out of craziness, because you can put any types of stone together and they look cool together. Like, for example, this ring, it's got diamonds and ruby and a rare purple sapphire. And it seems like all these rings are just all over the place. The stones are all over the place, but they make it look nice. They're so united together, even though they're so different. You don't see rubies with purple sapphire with diamonds a lot. So people love them to just mix and match. So I have a lot of clients who just mix and match. They are not the family. They don't go after the family tree type of clients. They just love the idea of putting different clusters. Or if they have a wardrobe that requires a green ring, for example, they want a green ring, but they don't want to opt out to just emerald or peridot. They're gonna mix whatever green stones I can find for them and then shape them together and make like a beautiful cocktail ring that can be worn together with that green outfit that they have. So cluster rings are kind of all over the place. They can be playful, they can be family rings. I've seen cluster rings being as engagement rings too, which to me is a little different, because to me an engagement ring still has that kind of royal feel to it, royal style to it, where there should be a one single dominating stone. But I'm probably on the old school part where that's just how I feel. I had a lot of younger generation, especially in Canada. We get a lot of orders from Canadians for cluster rings as engagement rings. So they kind of enjoy that, especially the ones that don't want to go traditional, or the ones that don't do traditional weddings. So they kind of rebellious, so their rings are rebellious. So it's been interesting. People use jewelry in all kinds of sort of ways. The engagement rings are no longer classical, I want to say, because I feel like in 2024, which is the year we're ending now, we've been all over the place. And I feel like we are going less and less from the traditional idea of engagement rings being a solitaire or a simple halo to something completely different, because we have gotten orders all over the place this year, all over the place, from big stones on lab-grown diamonds to tiny engagement rings with cluster rings as being engagement rings to black diamond engagement rings. It's all over the place. And so I feel like we are going away from the traditional engagement rings to just being more artistic and just being more open to other ideas. And again, I'm talking about what I have experienced in my companies as a whole. Of course, there are clients that are just wanting a solitaire or just want a traditional engagement ring, or there are others that don't care at all. We have clients who just order wedding bands, believe it or not, and they skip the whole engagement ring idea. So everyone is different, but I do feel like overall, as an average, we are going from the traditional idea of engagement rings to somewhere completely different, especially with the lab-grown diamonds being on the market, because now I feel like it gives so much more opportunity for everyone to get playful and fun. Like clients want to get a 5 carat or a 4 carat diamond and go all out, make a crazy statement ring and wear it as an engagement ring. And that's okay too. It just feels like there's more material on the market and more to kind of play around with. It feels like now people are getting more playful even with their engagement rings than it was before the lab-grown diamonds. I tell you, the lab-grown diamonds have changed the perspective on the engagement ring and on jewelry in general, because they have broke that seal of, diamond being the diamond and all the other stones being kind of the shadow of the diamond. They have broken that because now the diamond is not the diamond. The diamond is just a diamond, because now we have lab grown, which are a lot cheaper and more affordable. So if the client, wants to, they can afford any carat size that they want to and get playful. So I feel like with now going into 2025, we will be getting a lot more different orders, not so much on the classical side, kind of crazy orders that maybe before were once or twice a year, because even now I get wedding bands with wanting, half a caraters, 1 caraters eternity bands, of course with CVD more often than with natural diamonds, because it's just more affordable. So people want to get more playful, more fun, and the engagement ring or the wedding band they thought they never can get, they now can. So there's been a lot of shift happening in the jewelry industry in 2024, which I'm excited to see what 2025 brings. It's Margarita Skypin, and in today's episode, I just wanted to talk about cluster rings, but we kind of mended into the whole idea of engagement rings, and that's okay. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one.